who is in this war as well. Drake's Guard being down here doesn't look like they're doing... Oh no, they have 30,000. Drake's Guard is in fact involved in the main war over here. There they are. Bringing in some additional forces. But no, this is Vern breaking deeply into Boyascarvo. So where has Boyascarvo's troops been landing? Boyascarvo making a run for it at the moment as all of their forts are falling. Most of their armies are still over here in Europe, so they're kind of letting their homeland fall. I guess hoping that the Ordland subsidies can keep them alive. And it looks like these guys are rushing over here to try and flee by sea as well. Vern not being particularly bothered about chasing them down, instead much more interested in going after the forts. Now, have these forts been upgraded at all? Actually, yes, they have. Or they were in the process of being upgraded anyway. Some of them. When do level 6 forts come in? Star Fort, 19, so it's still 3 techs away from that. Well, alright then. Meanwhile, we have a Lorentish navy up here, blockading Arboran at the moment. And in fact, a Lorentish blockade of this does mean that Arboran is going to be receiving just a fraction of their usual income. And it's actually going to be the small country that benefits the most from this. If Lorent spread out and made this a proper blockade, I reckon they could reduce that trade power even further. Because devastation reduces trade power, right? And blockades. I'm trying to remember what exactly it does, actually. This is the kind of stuff you should know, Mordred. Goods produced goes down. No, it doesn't reduce trade power. Well, that's interesting. The only thing that they're losing is the fact that they don't have any light ships protecting trade at the moment. Which small country could really benefit from. Oh no, they are protecting trade. How are they protecting trade? Well, that's a bit BS. That's a bug I think I just found. Which I will go and take some screenshots in just a moment. So we've got another battle going on here at the moment. Lorent taking by far and away the worst end of this fight, because they're up against that 666 general again without Vern's general support. And whenever Lorent does this, they do tend to be rather on the losing side. If we just go back to the normal map mode so I can see where the reinforcements are coming in. So we've got Vern's general parked out just here, not really showing any interest in getting involved in this siege battle right now, probably because Lorent is taking that -1, and Lorent is once again forced to withdraw. And we can see that somebody is coming in to attack Vern's armies. So this kind of looks like just some really bad communication. And Vern immediately being attacked by those Bjornrik forces. And because Lorent and Vern did not fight together, it doesn't look like they're going to do very much. Although it does look like that Bjornrik is coming in and really scattershot. So Vern is just kind of cleaning up, and we do have Lorentish reinforcements down there. Oh wow, look at this though, Bjornrik coming in behind, taking down the Great Drakesguard reinforcements, meaning that this army is completely isolated, and that Drakesguard army has just been stack wiped, and now we've got a couple of Bjornrik forces coming in from the south to reinforce the northern forts, the northern forces. Yeah, this was some just very bad communication between Vern and Lorent there, taking two separate battles that should have been just one. Had it been just one, I think they would have won it. Been able to protect trade with dock ships for years, I think. Seem to remember Arumba mentioning it a few times. Interesting. It's not a bug report I've seen come up since I've been doing a lot of the bug reports from the forums. So, 4,000 losses on Bjornrik's side. What the hell is happening? Oh, their artillery's in the front row. That's what's happening. Because they've kind of lost... Oh no, that was Vern's side, my bad. Yep, and then Vern sent packing again. That was Arboran victory. And Lorent coming in with some reinforcements, but they're arriving just far too late. And then Vern also being cut off here. Vern trying to retreat. Probably wanted to do that with a force march because you're about to get caught, possibly. Looks like Lorent is holding the line, letting Vern retreat. Vern coming in with a reinforcement stack to try and engage this army, although they are taking a -1 because of the forests. And the small country's lands are going to be very fertile after this conflict. So at the moment we've got Bjarnrik's forces taking 3 times the losses of Lorent's forces, but they have got lots and lots of reinforcement forces sitting around here. But I think that this is all just an attempt to drain manpower from their enemies, because again, Vern and Lorent have the manpower to throw at this. Arboran and Bjarnrik do not. But Lorent once again sent packing there. Oh, we've got Phoenix Empire fighting someone. Who are you up against? Oh, lots of people. Skewer Drake. Soldier Sat. We've got... Oh, this is a giant battle. Alright, so we've got Soldier Sat coming in against the Phoenix Empire. Soldier Sat taking the initiative, taking the initial couple of territories. We've got a large army sitting here in the pass. Has Kryenvar joined this? Phoenix Empire. Vanrahar is allied to them. No Kryenvar. Right, because Kryenvar became a great power, which meant that these two had to break their alliance. And as soon as they broke that alliance, boom, Soldier Sat steps in. Because Phoenix Empire has felt a little weak. They've very much felt like a paper tiger. They're big, they're wealthy, but can they fight? That's the question we are here going to be answering very shortly, because Soldier Sat has just so many troops. Well, Phoenix Empire does too. 423,000 troops with an income of 450. So their budget is looking incredibly healthy versus 500,000 and 248. So the Phoenix Empire is significantly better off at the moment. They are not getting subsidies from anyone, so that is just pure income. But the question here is going to be, for me, whether they have invested enough in their defences. I'm going to say no. No, they have not. These are all just level 2 forts. Phoenix Empire has become complacent. They've been safe for too long, until suddenly they are very much not. Meanwhile, we have a Bubagama army here. We can see that they've started to colonize these borders as well. They built a fort there to hold that position. And it doesn't look like Phoenix Empire had any forts in here. Their first fort and only fort was in this one, which is a mountain pass. They wanted to fight that. And the fact that they're not worries me a bit. Like, this is the perfect place to defend. And that's really where you want to be feeding troops into the meat grinder, because they're going to be fighting that at a -2. That's just highlands. That's highlands. That's a mountain. That's a mountain. Okay, there are a couple of mountains here as a second line of defense, but that choke point is just such a good place to fight. It does look like they're starting to marshal the troops in now, and we'll be able to see what happens here. And yes, they are going to be taking quite a lot of attrition for such a large stack sitting here in what is effectively just steppe. Actually surprised it's steppe. I kind of expected that to be desert. Like this. 28%. Phoenix Empire is rallying the troops. They've got Vanrahar, and Vanrahar does have very good generals. I know that was Phoenix Empire. Vanrahar's generals are 4531. 3.3. Coming in with 20,000? No, don't do this, 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 don't do... Okay, you're sending in more. So, battle is joined. They are on a -2. We have the front line, no artillery as yet established. Artillery lines come in. They do have a bit of a mixed back line, which is unfortunate. And it will sort itself out as this front line takes damage and disappears, though. So it's 100,000 versus 70,000 at the moment. Each side taking about 600 troop losses at the moment. Oh, that's a good roll. Shock. Vanrahar coming in, although they are already an incredibly low morale. This is 6 morale versus 7.6. And I think one of the biggest advantages that Soldier Sat has is just how much morale they have. They're going to be really hard to break. They may not necessarily be the best fighters, but damn it if they can stand. And we've got Phoenix Empire sending in more and more troops. Now both sides losing 1,000 now, down to 300. So the casualties here, nowhere near as bad as in the Lorentish War. Phoenix Empire rallying more troops, starting to get some artillery going, got a couple more armies feeding in. This is going to be the first real taste of this massive difference in terms of morale. 7.6 against 6 is huge. 2,600 against 2,000, which basically just means that Phoenix Empire is going to have to rotate in more and more troops. And I much prefer these reinforcement stacks that Soldier Sat has set aside. It's now 170,000 against 200. I really wish I got the pop-ups to say how many troops were lost in every battle as an observer. 200,000 against 243,000. There is only one stack of 30 left, but no reinforcements left for the Phoenix Empire. So this first round is going to go to Soldier Sat. Now the battle's starting to accrue a couple more casualties, and there we go. Phoenix Empire is routed, and off they go. 115,000 for 80,000. So Soldier Sat did take quite a few more troops in casualties there. Phoenix Empire did have the larger overall force, but they're going to have an absolute mountain to overcome in terms of that morale difference. Meanwhile, we're here just in time to catch another glorious conflict between Arbennar and Lorent. This time Vern is not present, they're still using the same general. Arbennar coming in with some more reinforcements. Arbennar being very sneaky about these rear attacks. And again, Vern. This Vern-Lorent lack of communication is going to lose them this war. And there we go. Lorent army sent packing. It looks like their ruler just died, probably in the battle. Although they do now have a powerful mage as a ruler, but Lorent has not been using them. No, I don't think that was a powerful ruler, actually. I don't think that was a ruler death, actually. I think that was just an event or something. Meanwhile, Boiscarvo starting to suffer some pretty hefty uprisings, and this might well fragment Boiscarvo. Boiscarvo coming in with a couple of their troops, returning from the old world to fight against Vern over here in the new. But is it going to be enough, and are they going to be in time? I don't think so. There's 180,000 troops out here. And that's quite a few. What is Boiscarvo's army quality like? Whoa, that's some pretty hefty professionalism. So they're not going to take very much damage in their battles. 6.1 morale, 30% bonus to the infantry. But I don't think their units are very good pip-wise. 2-1, 3-2, 2-1. Versus Vern. 0-4-1-4-1. Okay, actually no. They're probably about the same. It's just that during the fire phase, Boiscarvo is going to do a lot more damage. And they will take quite a lot during shock. Although, what was their shock resist? Shock resist is a 2. And actually they only have 1 fire resist, so it's going to be mostly shock damage done. Yeah, both armies are going to be about the same, I think. It's just going to be the question of whether Boiscarvo can rally enough troops together or not. And we're starting to see some near Sidalda navies moving around. We've got Wyvern's Bay being sent packing. And the sieges of the Red Glades have begun. But Lorent is still blockading, but still only blockading in one position rather than inflicting actual devastation damage here. But these guys' devastation tick is just so low. Like the blockade devastation tick I think needs to be higher than 0.1. Oh, right, I was going to check one thing. That was going to be here, and then here. I was going to take a screenshot of this. And then I was going to take a screenshot of Arbennar's perspective. made a note of that one too. Right, let's go and take a look at the big fight over here, because we have another battle going on. 100,000 of the Phoenix Empire versus 175 of Soldier Sat. Phoenix Empire again. 1.5 difference in terms of morale, but they do have 10% more discipline. So they should be inflicting more damage. We should take a look at the Soldier Sat military quality versus the Phoenix Empire's military quality. But we're already seeing the morale difference. Unfortunately, it does look like Phoenix Empire is taking more damage here. The Van Rahar forces not performing as well as I would have expected. Because it often feels like when Van Rahar's fighting, they take more damage than when it's just the Phoenix Empire. So we do have reinforcements coming in from Soldier Sat. 2,500 a tick there, which was pretty significant. Slowly getting the morale up as probably military tradition is rising. They do have another 100,000 men coming in versus just 60,000 reinforcements. Are they going to get there on time though? This line might start to break. Oh no, their artillery's in the front line. This is terrible. And there they go. They have just retreated. The extra 40,000 arriving too late. 70,000 down here, too late. 27,000 down here, too late. And that's going to be a stack wipe of those guys. 388,000 manpower versus 432. Both sides... Oh, you have maxed out professionalism. That's why you're taking so little damage. That's interesting. Versus none. 20% only. Less than. So we got 35 infantry combat, 10% artillery against identical 35 and 10. So the discipline is going to be counting well for the Phoenix Empire. This is discipline versus morale. And right now the morale is winning out. And they've managed to catch out another 50,000 men army, which is being sent packing. That was a mercenary force. Phoenix Empire, of course, still making an absolute fortune. So they could easily ratchet up the number of troops they have even further than they already have. They also have outstanding power that they need to spend, and also another government reform, which wouldn't help them particularly here. Maybe the governing capacity would, because it's a pretty big nation. Anyway, back over on this side, where the Arboran Bjarnrik forces are starting to press ever deeper into the Lorentish territory, nibbling away at the side over there. Complacent is right, given the professionalism gap. Yeah, especially as Phoenix Empire hasn't even been fighting that much. Like, when Kryenvar was fighting, Phoenix Empire was mostly just the money bags. They were kind of the small country in that conflict. And the small country, the only reason they're not professionalisming is because they use mercenaries. In fact, I did notice that a lot of the Phoenix Empire armies were mercenary. And I'm not entirely sure why. Because they have a lot of manpower. They're still training a lot more troops, probably to make up for the unit they lost. But if we look at their armies, of which they have many... Oh no, there's a regular 1, 2... 2 mercenaries. 3, 4 mercenaries. So that's 20% professionalism right there. I don't think they'll even be very good mercenaries. I mean, we can check, actually. If we go into here, and then into here... Doesn't this show the ones that have already been recruited? Yes, it does. So they've got the 20% extra infantry combat, they have the 20% extra fire damage, they have 20% reduced shock, and the 10% extra morale speed recovery. So yes, they have been going for the high-level mercenaries, as opposed to the numerous ones. Meanwhile, Small Country is going after Gnomish Hierarchy now. I'm a little bit surprised that we've not seen Bjarnrik trying to lift the naval blockade. I suspect they'd probably be able to. 20 heavies, 20 galleys versus 20 heavies, 14 galleys with light ships. I don't believe that's all you have, though. I really wish I could access the ledger for this stuff. Naval. Here we go, we can see from here. No, maybe not. No, I think Lorent would still win that fight. It depends on whether Arboran's navy can join, but Arboran is only light ships, and then Vern also has a fleet kicking around, though it is mostly transports. Interesting. Meanwhile, in Boiscarvo, rebels taking over the north of the country. One of the Boiscarvo armies just sent packing. Unfortunately, we did not see what the outcome there was, which I would have liked to have done. I have a feeling that this war may actually just kill Boiscarvo because of the amount of rebels rising here. They're just going to fragment. Meanwhile, Lorent once again sent packing, Vern once again not fighting. Vern's manpower is down to 46,000, so they gain 5,000 a month! 5,000! That's ridiculous! 1,000, so no, it's a small country. You guys are completely tapped, you gain 3,000. You guys gain 4,000. And are almost tapped. Lorent gains 8,000. Wow, okay. Oh no, that's how many they need. Lorent also gains 5,000. And still has 168,000 in the bank. So Arboran is tapped. Arboran's going to be forced to use mercenaries, and yeah, they have no professionalism. Bjornrik still has professionalism and a little bit of manpower. So in terms of the attrition war, Lorent and Vern's still winning. They just need to actually fight together a bit more. Meanwhile, in the big war over here. Ah! Soldier Sat just sent packing. Interesting. So Keterata has started to arrive. There are just lots of Phoenix Empire forces here. And these guys sent packing. They're going to retake all of this pretty quickly. But they want to dive on to that fort and retake it. Blast it if you have to. Force attack it if you have to. Get that fort back. Although these guys are re-establishing themselves just behind that fort line. So it doesn't look like that's going to work. Who started this? This was the Truanic conquest of Falashot. Which is that? Oh, Vanrahar is a march of the Phoenix Empire now. Interesting. Meanwhile, we have Skewered Drake down here in the halls of Virkal Gulan. Virkal Gulan not seeming to do very much, not seeming to be able to do very much to fend this off. And Magama is still alive. Hey, Viking. Meanwhile, another battle. Lorent versus Bjornrik. Vern not getting involved. Oh no, now they are. They are starting to move in to intercept some of the reinforcements approaching, but it does look like Lorent's going to lose this battle. And again, because these two are fighting wars separately, or fighting these battles separately, they're in the same war, but they're fighting these battles separately, they will just lose separately. Lorent then sent packing. Vern's coming in with 100,000 versus 200,000. There's another 130,000 Bjornrik available right next door, and Vern's going to lose this battle as well. And this was also a -2. This was a terrible conflict. Definitely a huge lack of communication between these two. Because the thing is, like we saw in the past, when Lorent's superior quality armies are led by Vern's superior general, they sweep everything before them. But the fact that those two are not fighting together is just losing them this conflict. Because Lorent does not have the general to contend with Arboran's commander, and Vern is just not getting into the fights. Lorent's being a lot more aggressive. Meanwhile, Boiscarvo starting to rally some more troops up there in the north. They do have a number of their allied nations and allied colonial nations starting to re-siege some of the stuff over here, but the amount of damage done is already there. Most of the forts have already fallen to Vern over on this side. And I do very much wonder if Jordland is watching this with interest, thinking, if Boiscarvo gets too weak, this could be an opportunity for my own expansion. Meanwhile, Gnomish hierarchy mostly occupied now by the small country. Oh, we have another battle down here, which is Lorent and Vern fighting separately again. Lorent having a couple more reinforcements available to feed in. It does look like Lorent's side might win this one. Arboran coming in with another 40,000, with another 70 or 80,000 coming in from the north. Question being, are they going to arrive on time? And the question is answered that no, they're not. So it looks like Lorent's going to win this fight. Vern fighting here and taking a surprising amount of damage. There we go, now they've turned things around during the fire phase. Actually surprised they're taking as much... Okay, there we go, they turned it around. So Lorent still able to fight here. They do have Drake's Guard coming in to reinforce, 20,000 coming in to reinforce. This does look like it's going to be a Lorentish victory. Arboran is fighting on a -1 there, and then this is a 0-0 in terms of terrain. This is a lot better for the Lorentish side. And now, even though they're fighting these separate battles, it looks like they're just superior numbers are going to win this one. Although there's a 50,000 stack of Bjornrik just back there who could get involved, although they seem more interested in sieging at the moment. It does look like Arboran's going to win this fight. This one is coming right down to the wire. No, Bjornrik's forces just collapsed, and now Lorent can move to reinforce Vern's forces, which are about to collapse. This is going to be down to whether they get there in time. And it's going to be really close. They arrived. There they go. They're feeding in, and Arboran is forced to withdraw. So a good victory there from the Lorentish side. Looks like they'll catch out like... Oh, they caught out a 40k stack. 70k stack! But they are still doing the damage, and if these guys can last a week, then they can retreat. Just need to make sure you click on the forts when you're retreating. If you don't click on a fort, then this often happens. That was a stack wipe. Okay. So Lorent lost a 70k stack, now Arboran lost a 70k stack. The difference here being, Lorent can afford to lose 70k. Arboran really can't. And it looks like they have slackened their recruiting standards for the last time. Probably recruited generals to get their number above 5, because I think it was like 4.8 or something, and then slackened. So this is it for them. Once that's gone, it's gone. Meanwhile, Bjornrik still has another 5 to go, with 56,000 in the bank. Lorent, 147 still in the bank, 58% professionalism, still untapped. Vern, 45% untapped, 130 still in the bank. Like, these two are just manpower monsters. Meanwhile, Phoenix Empire has cleaned up Soldier Sat all the way back to the fort. We've got Keterata bravely marching forth to reclaim that fort in the name of a greater glory. Although they haven't actually brought in enough troops to actually siege it. Can someone explain the part about clicking on forts when retreating? So generally, if you're in a battle and you're losing the fight, click on a fort, because your troops will always seek out a nearby fort, and if they can't find one, I think that's when they retreat just the one tile. And then they get stack wiped. Whereas if you manually right-click on a fort when you're retreating, your armies will retreat to that fort, unless they're shattered. So if you do it early enough, they will manually retreat in good order, and they will go to where you told them. If they shatter, so if it's right at the end of the battle, and you have no control over them, then they're going to make these silly decisions. So they're basically retreating in a panic. So manually telling your troops when to retreat and where to retreat is a really good idea. And there we go. We have got small... What did you take? Oh, you took Riveria. Okay. So this bit has been gobbled up. I'm surprised they didn't go out to here, because this was already pretty much guaranteed to them. They've cut it off. So I'm surprised that they backfilled this rather than trying to take some of this. Like, I think what I would have done is gone for these bits. Especially because that's a really good fort location, which will make a nice border. It's rivers running through hills. Border situation between these two. Admittedly, this is also a really nice choke point, and so is Shattered Bay. Which, of course, is a Dames tier producer.